Impacts of deforestation. In this video, we will be looking at the impacts of deforestation. This can be broken down into two categories, global and local. Let's have a look at this diagram. The two global impacts are global warming and loss of biodiversity. There are 5 local impacts: local climate change, soil erosion and fertility, river pollution, conflicts and decline of indigenous tribes. Let's take a closer look at the global impacts. The first is global warming. Trees absorb carbon dioxide, reducing the amount in the atmosphere. When the number of trees are reduced, more carbon dioxide remains in the atmosphere. In addition, when deforestation takes place, fire is often involved, which releases any carbon dioxide stored in the wood, which then returns to the atmosphere. This contributes significantly to the greenhouse effect. Another global impact is loss of biodiversity. Deforestation will cause the biodiversity in the rainforest to decrease, and individual species could become more endangered or possibly extinct. Approximately 137 species of plant, animals and insects are estimated to be lost every day, and in the Amazon rainforest, it's expected that 30 to 45% of main species could be lost by 2030. Now let's have a look at how deforestation impacts on a local scale. Firstly, there is local climate change. Deforestation interrupts the water cycle. There is less evapotranspiration, which results in less moisture in the atmosphere. Additionally, the water cycle acts as a cooling system. With the water cycle being interrupted, the climate becomes drier and warmer. Soil erosion is another impact. When trees are felled or cut down, the topsoil can be removed easily, as there are no roots to bind the soil particles together. Once the topsoil is removed, very little can be grown. As the topsoil is removed, it often causes the rivers to be silted up. Additionally, the topsoil loses fertility without the dense vegetation. Using the land for grazing and plantations doesn't help fertilize the land, often resulting in the land being abandoned, which leads to more deforestation as farmers and cattle ranchers look for more fertile land. River pollution is another local impact. Rivers are impacted in 2 ways. Firstly, they are silted up from soil erosion. The second way is that the chemicals used in the mining process, such as mercury, end up in the watercourse. This can lead to fish being poisoned and impacts the local people living near the rivers. Conflict is another local impact. Conflict occurs between indigenous tribes, loggers and other developers. Conflict arises because people have different views about the rainforest, for example between conservationists and developers. The final local impact is the decrease of indigenous tribes. Indigenous tribes live a traditional life through subsistence farming and rely on the rainforest. However, as deforestation occurs, they are forced out, which reduces the number of tribes remaining. Many displaced people end up in towns, but they do not settle well. The loss of tribes means there is a loss of knowledge about the rainforest. Although the number of tribes have significantly reduced, tribes are more aware of their rights and are less easily persuaded to move away from the rainforest. Now that you have revised the impacts of deforestation, have a go at answering these questions. How many impacts of deforestation are there? Name the global impacts. Name the local impacts. What happens to the topsoil? How are rivers impacted? Pause the video now before the answers are revealed. So there are 7 impacts of deforestation. The global impacts are global warming and loss of biodiversity. The local impacts are local climate change, soil erosion and fertility, river pollution, conflict and decline of indigenous tribes. The topsoil is eroded by heavy rainfall and becomes less fertile, and the river is impacted by being silted up by the eroded soil and poisoned by chemicals.